Considering Larry Page's and Google's involvement, would the Arkyd 100 be used to enhance Google Earth?
So that's a great question. Now, bear in mind, Larry Page is an investor individually in our company. We don't have an investor-investee relationship with Google per se. Now, Google is well aware of what we're doing, and I think that it would only be logical to assume that that if a company wanted to map the Earth, whoever it is, whether it's Google or Microsoft or Apple or whatever else, having the capability to do that on demand at low cost would certainly, to my mind, be attractive. Now, of course, our eyes are on the asteroids, but there are potentially lots of other applications like that.
Interesting. Now, from my understanding, the Arkyd 200 is going to be the interceptors to actually be scouting out some of these asteroids. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, once you guys have identified asteroids that you want, that are interesting, and get all the information that you need, and move on to the next step, what would be the landing delivery system for the actual craft that would be doing the mining?
So it's a great question. We haven't got that far yet. We have a lot of ideas on that, but nothing beyond the Arkyd 300 that we're going to talk about publicly, specifically. The Arkyd 200 is an interceptor. Actually, that particular vehicle would be designed to intercept asteroids that come within 10 to 30 lunar radii from the Earth. So you're talking about let's say, I don't know, within 5 or 10 million miles, most likely. Okay. And the Arkyd 300 could go deeper into space with a common propulsion system that was more suited for deep space. So something that might be halfway across the inner solar system.
Are there plans to in the long term, to mine some of the larger asteroids, such as Vesta or Ceres?
Well, I think the asteroid belt is very interesting, and there's out in the asteroid belt, you've got 1,000 times more than what you have in the near-Earth space. But it's also a lot harder to get to, and if we're going to use it in the inner solar system, there's no reason to go all the way to the asteroid belt. So I think that for Mars exploration, for Phobos and Deimos, for anything we'd want to do in the inner solar system, certainly around the Earth, the Moon, the near-Earth asteroids are all we need. But as we go further out into the moons of Jupiter, the moons of Saturn, which are a lot of really interesting targets, that we would certainly use the asteroids in the asteroid belt. Now, that's a bit further off, but depending on how quickly technology advances, maybe it won't be that far.
What is the most important thing that people need to know about Planetary Resources?
The most important things that people need to know about Planetary Resources are the following. Number one, what we're doing is extremely difficult. So we are hiring. We encourage people who are interested in working with us to send us their resume and go to the website and fill out the form. But you've got to be willing to take risk. Our investors are taking risk. We're taking risk. We are pioneering this industry. And sometimes pioneers end up with the arrows in their back. Sometimes they end up, with a pot of gold. But there's risk along the way. And so we're taking big risks because we would like to succeed in a big way. Number two, we very much want to keep the public engaged. So we encourage people to communicate with us, to come to our blogs, to comment, to send us email, to stay involved with what we're doing. And number three, we really just ask for a broad base of support. There'll come a time when we will approach and need to talk to the political powers that be about setting up laws that are extra friendly to what we're trying to do. And so public support will be really important at that point in time. I'd like to personally see something like a Homestead Act for space. In the mid part of the last century, or the 1800s, there was a Homestead Act where if you came out into the West and said you were going to work the land, you could get a few acres of land from the federal government. And I don't expect something particularly like that, but for example, right now we are perfectly within our rights to go to asteroids and develop them. But boy, would it be great if the U.S. government said we want to encourage this, and any company that goes and puts a beacon on an asteroid will have U.S. government recognized mineral rights for 100 years or something like that. Who knows? I mean, these are just ideas right now. But at some point in time, all that public interest will really be, and public support will really be important. So I'd want people to know that.